Today is Friday, November the 8th, 2024. It is a little past 9 a.m. Commission Secretary, please call roll. Here.
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 Here. Here.
Here.
Great. Welcome, everyone. We've got a big crowd today, so it's very exciting to have everyone here. Thank you for making it here today. I have a friendly reminder for all of you that we are live streaming our open meetings for public to view. If you are speaking, please make sure you speak into the microphone and that the microphone is on so viewers may hear what is being said. For viewers watching online, we encourage you to subscribe to MHTC's YouTube channel at MHTC Video for access to these meetings and more. We're going to start our meeting this morning with a brief safety emphasis. Jen Wade, area engineer, is going to share with us what we need to do in case of an emergency today. Jen, the floor is yours.
Welcome to downtown St. Louis. I'm Jen Wade. I'm the area engineer for MHTC here in the city of St. Louis. And I have a few safety reminders for everyone this morning. In the event of a fire, the commission director and commission secretary can enter through the exit through the doors in the back. You'd follow the alley out to 8th Street and then around to our meeting location. The audience can exit straight through the big exit doors in the back and across the street on Olive. And then we'll all meet together at the corner of 7th and Olive. There's a FedEx at the corner there across the street. So it's got a nice big sign around both corners. In case there's a small fire, there is a fire extinguisher in the rear corner of the room by the officer. I have asked Michelle Fordaris to retrieve and use the fire extinguisher if needed. In the event of severe weather, we'll be hunkering down in this room. It's windowless. Close all the doors, please, in the back, which are already closed. And then if things get kind of crazy, just move to the edge of the walls instead of being under a chandelier. Let's see, if we must evacuate this room, please take a moment to make note of who you're sitting next to and make sure that upon your arrival to our safe location that your neighbor has arrived safely too. If there's a medical emergency, most people in this room are certified in CPR. Linda Horn has agreed to call 911 and direct the emergency responders to our location. Becky Almroth has volunteered to administer CPR and Eric Schrader will assist her if necessary. There is an AED in this podium, and Justin Wagner will retrieve the AED in event of medical emergency. And a sensitive subject, but one we must discuss. I want to bring your attention to what to do if there is an intruder or an active shooter. There are 3 basic principles to follow in the case of an active shooter: run, hide, or fight. Run and escape if possible. Getting away from the shooter or shooters is the top priority. Hide if escape is not possible. If you can't exit the building, find a safe place to hide. Try to barricade the doors. Make yourself safe by turning off your cell phones and turning down the lights. And fight as an absolute last resort. Throw items and improvised weapons like chairs, fire extinguishers, books to distract and disarm the shooter. Lastly, we are still managing some flooding in the district from recent rain. So we really want to take this moment to encourage people to be very careful and never drive into flooded water or in water over the roadway. Always turn around. Be very conscious of that this afternoon because we do still have some impacts in the area. That concludes today's Safety Minute. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Next, we would like to recognize special guests in the room. We have Representative Donnie Brown. Donnie, welcome. We have Representative Jeff Myers. Jeff, always good to see you. We have from Congressman Sam Graves' office, Sarah Graff. Miss Sarah, thank you. We have Joe Glidehouse from the Warren County Commission. And then we have Mayor Michelle Heilinger from the mayor of Rat City. So welcome. Any other special guests in the room? Thank you for being here. Next, I need to review a few procedural items. I want to remind everyone that we have a public comment period and are pleased to offer this to every Missourian who wants to come before the commission to address an issue of concern. Any of you that would like to address the commission, please sign up before 9:30 a.m. A reminder that you will have 5 minutes for public comment or 10 minutes per subject. Next, I would like to review our abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership or business interest, or lawyers that may represent clients that either may or may have a relationship to a matter coming before the commission, a potential or actual conflict of interest to be considered or voted upon. The commission member will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or to recuse him or herself from participating in the discussion of an agenda item. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or like, a commissioner may specify that particular matter and then still vote on the remainder of the agenda items. This information is provided to the commission secretary by letter in advance of each meeting. The commission secretary will duly indicate the abstentions or recusals accordingly in the minutes of the meeting. Madam Secretary, have the letters been prepared? Thank you. Bless you. The first item of business today on the agenda is consideration of minutes from the regular meeting on October the 2nd, 2024, and the special meeting on October the 1st, 2024. Do we have any corrections or additions? Seeing none, do we have a motion and a second for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I approve adoption as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next business item is consideration of items on the consent agenda. Does anyone need to remove any items for discussion later or abstain from any item? If not, do we have a motion and a second for approval?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Next order of business is to receive committee and board reports. 3 commissioners serve on the audit committee: Commissioner Slay, Commissioner Baker, and I. And today, Commissioner Slay will provide the report.
Yes, we met with Ted Williams, our external auditor from the Reuben Brown LLP firm. He's presented the fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report and the independent audit report. Section 21.795.3 of the revised statute of Missouri requires an annual audit of MoDOT's financial statements be performed by independent certified public accountants. Audited financial statements are also required by the Commission's bond covenants. I am pleased to report that for the 25th consecutive year, MoDOT has received an unmodified or clean opinion. Brenda Morris and Ted Williamson of Reuben Brown LLP will be providing presentation to the Commission later today. The next audit committee meeting will be in 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. All commissioners are members of the Legislative Committee, and the Commission's chair and vice chair serve as co-chairs of the Legislative Committee. Today, Commissioner Erdman will give the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this week, of course, Missourians participated in the general election and have determined who their elected representatives will be for the next 2 years: members of the Senate, members of the General Assembly, statewide elected officials, and of course, Missouri will have a new governor. Commission looks forward to working with all elected officials in a cooperative spirit and doing our best to provide value to the people of Missouri. In preparation for that, and during the summer and now into the fall months, district engineers, area engineers, and our governmental relations staff have been reaching out to House and Senate elected officials to provide them with information regarding planned projects as outlined by the Commission-approved 5-year statewide transportation improvement program, or STIP. During these visits with legislators, staff has taken the opportunity to address constituent needs that have been brought to the attention of elected officials, as well as educated them on information in the Citizens Guide. Just as recently as this morning at breakfast, we were informed by an important elected official of such a constituent need. The Commission prides itself in overseeing MoDOT and being responsive to citizen input. Government relations staff have actively begun visiting potential legislative sponsors to advance the 2025 Commission-approved agenda, legislative agenda, which includes an omnibus comprehensive safety package that addresses many deficiencies in state law that, if addressed, could reduce or eliminate serious injuries and deaths on Missouri highways. The second proposal that we will be focusing on is a measure designed to address roadside litter. This proposal increases fees and penalties against violators and then uses the monies to hire private sector entities to help address and pick up trash, litter, and other activities along our state's highways. This is an important and new initiative, and we look forward to working with the elected officials to improve the situation. As we all know, and as I've mentioned, Tuesday was a very big day for the state with all of our elected officials being put into office. We look forward to meeting with these newly elected officials and creating as close a working relationship as we can to advance the transportation and safety policies of the state of Missouri going forward. Finally, the first day for pre-filing of the legislation for the 2025 session of the Missouri General Assembly is December 1. So be on the lookout because lots of bills will be coming. With that, I conclude my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Commissioner Smith serves as president of the MTFC Board, and Commissioners Erdman and Baker are board members. Today, Commissioner Smith will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no report this month. We will be meeting on November the 12th. And that's all I have. We'll have a report next month.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioners Erdman, Hegeman, and I serve on the Emperor's Board. Today, Commissioner Erdman will provide the report.
Well, thank you. And Jeff, we appreciated having breakfast this morning with one of the Emperor's retirees. So I'm going to give a report for you and others in the audience. The audit committee met on October 31st to receive the annual audit report, which all was fine and approved. The next Emperor's Board meeting will be on November 21. We'll look forward to the work of the board at that time. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman. Next is the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee report, and I will be providing it. As we enter the final 2 months of the year, I can report that to date, traffic fatalities in Missouri are down 8% compared to last year. We have now had 4 months in a row of fewer fatalities than the year before. Hopefully, we can keep this trend up. To help end the year with a strong push, the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety is spearheading a couple initiatives to remind Missourians about the impacts of their actions when using the transportation system. First, the coalition has partnered with AAA and Cambridge Mobile Telematics to host a safest driver competition among Missouri high school students. The group hosted a similar competition for Missouri businesses this past summer, and the results showed that participants who actively engaged in the competition improved their own driving behavior and, more impressively, were 75% less distracted than the average driver. We're excited to bring this same level of impact to teen drivers in our state, and I am pleased to report that more than 70 high schools have registered to participate. Very exciting. Second, the coalition will be working with law enforcement agencies throughout the state to promote safe driving during the upcoming holiday season. Beginning the week of Thanksgiving and running through the end of the year, a combination of public service announcements and increased traffic patrols will be used to remind all Missourians to never get behind the wheel while impaired. A good rule for everyone is to remember this: if you feel different, you drive different. Drive sober. The executive committee will plan to meet again in January, and this concludes my report. Next is the Director Search Committee. It is made up of all members of the commission, and today I will provide the report. The Director Search process continues, and we are on track to exceed our end-of-the-year deadline to fill this vital role for the department. So there'll be more information upcoming here in the time period between here and the end of the year. So that concludes that report. Next is the MoDOT Interim Director's Report. Ed, I'm going to kick it over to you.
So it's really great to see such a big crowd. Is something going on today that people are very interested in transportation, maybe? But it's great to see everybody. I want to start with a great pleasure we have to introduce the newest member of our senior management team, and I'd ask our Chief Safety and Operations Officer, Becky Amarat, to make that introduction.
Good morning. Could I ask John Nelson to please join me? And this truly is an honor today to introduce you to our new state highway safety and traffic engineer, John Nelson. He has been in his role since midsummer, but we have kept him so busy out the gate, running, has his roller skates on, so we've just now been able to get him in front of you for that introduction. He does have more than 24 years of experience with MoDOT, and he started his career as a traffic intern. And I was excited. He was our assistant highway safety and traffic engineer under Nicole Hood, and he was responsible for the highway safety side. So I knew he had a really strong background, but when he came to interview, found out that he had an equally strong background in the traffic engineering side of the house, so very well-rounded career. Very huge passion for safety and well-respected across Missouri and with other DOTs as well. So he has really put forth an effort to educate the public, implement safety design measures, and reduce highway fatalities and injury crashes. So very excited to have him on our senior management team, and please join me in congratulating John in his new role.
Great addition to the team. So last week, several of us spent the week in Philadelphia with the annual meeting of the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. So that would be all of the 50 state DOTs plus Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. And really the focus of the meeting was, believe it or not, getting ready for the reauthorization of the federal transportation bill. It seems like that just happened, but we're already 3 years in, and we will be moving towards that effort in the coming years. One of the great things that happened at the meeting, we were able to accept for the I-270 North project the President's Award for Mobility at the annual meeting. And that project has received multiple awards over the last year or so. I just want to highlight some of them. It's won the Design Build Institute of America, the American Public Works Association, the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and the Governor's Award for Real-Time Mapping. And I know that's a big project that a lot of people have worked on, so I'm going to see how this goes. But if you are in the private sector, contractor, consultant, team MoDOT that has worked on the I-270 North project, would you all stand up? I see, yeah, quite a few people here. And I think that just shows it takes a team to do these big projects, and it's great to recognize the success with these people that are getting the awards. So that's great news. Another success that I want to share with you, maybe not quite as well known, but you know, MoDOT really provides guidance for federal funding for programs that local agencies do. Our staff serves as a liaison to those local agencies so that they can seek federal reimbursement for projects. And then they get the federal funds to do those projects in their locales. They put up 20% of the local match for those programs. And then to continue receiving federal funds, all the funds received each year must be committed to projects by the end of the fiscal year, which ends on September 30th. And really, if you don't do that, it creates a lot of issues as it relates to how we receive funding as a state as a whole and those regions of the state that get that money. So we challenged all of our local partners and specifically our MPOs and RPCs that are very critical to doing this to obligate 110% of the funds that come to the state each year, because we had built up a balance in those funds that was growing instead of shrinking. And that really means that we're not putting projects on the ground. I'm not going to say that was easy. We had a lot of, I would say, hand-wringing, but I'm really happy to report that of that 110% goal, we were able to obligate last year 119% and between 119 and 130%, depending on what part of the state you're in. So I really wanted to thank our planning partners across Missouri. I know we're here in East-West Gateway Council of Governments territory, and I also see that our Ozark Transportation Organization is here, but also all of the cities, the counties, our MoDOT team that helps administer this process. What a huge accomplishment. So I want to specifically recognize, I see Sarah Fields with Odo here, and Jim Wild, I think, is here somewhere. Would you guys stand up for your group? Thank you for doing that. Also, during the last week, October 30th, marked the 8th annual Buckle Up Phone Down Day. So every single driver plays a role in combating the safety crisis that's happening on our roads. You just heard from our chairman talking about that. But every year we do that challenge on the 30th of October and ask people to take the pledge to buckle your seatbelt and put your phone down, and then use that as a launching pad to get partners to, spread the message. So we use social media and all of those connections that we have with businesses. This year, our MoDOT social media had a reach of 78,000 this year, which is triple what it was last year. I want to show you some examples of some of the social media participation that happened. Once again, we had great support from our safety partners in Missouri, from the Highway Patrol, Department of Public Safety, SEMA, just to name a few. And here you can see some of the posts they put up on Buckle Up Phone Down Day. And then we had great support from our businesses and schools. I want to highlight the post from the University of Missouri president, Dr. Moon Choi. We challenged him to have the whole university system participate, and he took that on. And so you can see the post that the president put up for Buckle Up Phone Down Day. And then once again, we had great support. This is started in Missouri at MoDOT and has grown across the country. So we had great support from our fellow DOTs, and we had 4 new states participate this year: California, Montana, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania. And in total now there are 34 states around the country that participate in some way in the Buckle Up Phone Down initiative, which is really amazing. So to date, we have more than 55,000 people who have accepted the challenge, and we're looking for everybody. And if you haven't accepted the challenge yourself, go to the BUPD website, take the challenge, and then ask your friends, your family, your neighbors to take the challenge. And next year, if you're in charge of a local government or something like that and want to join us in the Buckle Up Phone Down Day, we'd love to have you. Later today, we're going to have a conversation about our operations team, and I wanted to just kind of tease that a little bit. You're going to hear several presentations about our maintenance operation, the performance in managing our maintenance of our roads, and then talking about those things that I call windshield issues, those visible things that people see that maybe we are not quite getting to. And I want to show you a slide here that talks about kind of customer service versus labor hours. And so if you look at the slide, you can kind of see a decline in our customer satisfaction, and it's directly related to the loss of labor hours. So that is the loss of employees due to the pandemic. We've lost a lot of our incarcerated crews because there just no longer are people that we can get out of those prisons that they'll let come out on the road, because most of the low-level offenders aren't there anymore as we revised our marijuana laws and things like that. So, but what I want to show you is we're making progress. We've been able to hire at MoDOT over the last year, and we have 200 more maintenance workers that we had this time last year. And the graph shows you these are the vacancies at MoDOT, and you can see the yellow line shows that we're making some progress, but we definitely want to make more, and we need to have our discussion with our legislators about adding some resources to operations. So later in the meeting, Becky Almaroth and Darren Hamlick are going to kind of share with you our plan on how we're going to do that. And then lastly, I want to talk about a pretty amazing thing. We have put down the first pavement on Project 1 of the Improve I-70 program. So in June, a lot of people in this room participated in the groundbreaking for I-70 between Columbia and Kingdom City. And I want to show you this picture. We're actually starting to pave the inside third lane, and we have about 6 miles of new concrete pavement already laid. And as soon as they get to one end, they're going to turn around and come the other way. This is just a phenomenal accomplishment to go from, project initiation to putting concrete on the ground in less than 5 months. Kudos to our design build team, to the MoDOT team, and to our contractors that are just doing a phenomenal job, and let's just keep it going. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions or
Mr.
comments?
Chairman, no, just, I wanted to thank Ed and Becky and the team for all their work on the Buckle Up Phone Down Day. And it sounds like you had a very successful day. And, something that's so simple, just when you start that car, hook that seat belt. So I challenge everyone in this room to join the Buckle Up Phone Down, take the challenge, and tell your kids and your grandkids, hell, I'm old, I got grandkids, but they get in the car and the first thing they do is buckle up, because they've been taught that. So we just need to continue to push on that. It's so exciting to hear fatalities were down.
Yes.
I believe 8%, you said.
Big
So
deal.
until that's 0, we'll never be happy.
That's
So
right.
thank you, guys. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. We had another special guest enter the room. Mayor Jones, welcome. Good to see you. Next, we're going to go into our public presentations. I usually steal the thunder from our district engineers, but Tom, I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to call Tom Blair up, district engineer for St. Louis, and he's going to introduce our next guest.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. You sort of did since you introduced her. All right, it is my honor as a MoDOT district engineer to introduce 2 of our leaders in the St. Louis region and beyond the St. Louis region. We have with us today Jim Wild, the Executive Director of East West Gateway Council of Governments, as our interim director Hassender said, our municipal planning organization of the St. Louis region. And we have the current chair of the East West Gateway Board of Directors and the mayor of the great city of St. Louis, Tashara Jones. So I'll invite them up to come and do a presentation.
So knowing my place, I'm going to let the mayor go first, so.
Hi, good morning,
morning.
and welcome back to St. Louis. It's good to see you, Mayor Slay. Again, I am Mayor Tashara Jones, Mayor of the great city of St. Louis and current chair of the East West Gateway Council of Governments. I'm proud to be in that role and have learned more about transportation and infrastructure this year than I ever have or wanted to learn in my life. Just wanted to kind of give you guys a brief update on the things that we're working on and things that are important to us as we go forward. Want to thank you for the expand and the changes to Highway 70. However, we are about to upgrade our region's airport, Lambert International Airport, and you'll hear more about that from Rhonda Ham-Niebrugge as she makes her presentation. But as we upgrade the region's airport, it's important that the I-70 corridor is upgraded. And this portion of I-70 is currently not in the I-70 expansion. Now that the airport is in the process of an upgrade, we ask that there be funding for this portion of I-70, the main artery that supports the entire metropolitan area. And it's the vessel to bring visitors, future homeowners, and major corporations to the St. Louis region. And as we upgrade our airport, which is the front door to many in our region, we'd like consideration to also upgrade the I-70 as it approaches the airport. It'll be redesigned to ensure that visitors entering our region have a welcoming experience as they access the highway and ramps around the airport. St. Louis received almost $500 million for in American Rescue Plan Act funds, and a little over 60 million has been set aside for street improvements, including paving, bridge repairs, high efficiency LED street lights, sidewalk repairs, safety enhancements like traffic calming, and 30 miles of arterial road improvements. So the main roads that go through St. Louis, Kings Highway, Jefferson, Union, Grand, all received repavement and ADA compliance. And we're also addressing 10 high-density crash location safety improvements. I also want to point out that the Director of Streets, Traffic, and Refuse, Bethany Williams, a former employee of MoDOT, is also here with us today. And also a priority of St. Louis is the Metrolink Green Line. We are expanding public transit in St. Louis. It will be a brand new light rail connecting neighborhoods and connecting people to jobs, to healthcare, and to entertainment. And it will connect to the existing red and blue lines on Metrolink. It's a dedicated in-street light rail project, unlike our current Metrolink, and it'll go from Natural Bridge Avenue around Fairground Park, go east down Natural Bridge, make a right turn at Jefferson or Parnell, whatever you want to call it, when it's at that intersection, and go all the way south to Chippewa. We'll have 10 stations along the way, and the neighborhoods along this corridor require serious investment, and this is one of the largest investments we've made in public transit in a long time in the city. And I know that MoDOT has continued to fund transit, or began to fund transit when I was in the legislature, would like to continue that funding as well. And last but not least, we're making safety and bike infrastructure upgrades. We want to thank MoDOT for helping us as we have continued to upgrade our bike facilities around the region. I myself have been out on a bicycle several times along our bike paths around the city. And I got to tell you, once you experience the city on a bike, you fall in love with it all over again. And want to thank MoDOT for their help thus far. And want to continue our partnership as we upgrade our bike facilities and consider dedicated bike lanes for people who get around our city. Because as we continue our transportation infrastructure planning, we're calling it friendly streets, because we want to make sure that our streets are safe and friendly, no matter how people choose to get around, if they walk, if they bike, if they ride public transit, or even if they drive. So thank you again for being here. And again, thank you for your partnership, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Normally, at least for the veteran commissioners, they know I get up here and say, we don't get enough money here in St. Louis. We need more attention here in St. Louis. And we do need all of that. But I wanted to celebrate or talk about a little bit about the successes and the partnership we've had with MoDOT and the MoDOT district office specifically over this past year. We've had a lot of coordination and collaboration with the district office. Ed stole a little bit of my thunder. That's okay, it happens, man. I wanted to talk a little bit about the strong coordination that took place during the obligation of federal funds. The East-West Gateway region, the St. Louis region, obligated nearly $118 million this past year. 130%. We beat the challenge that was put by MoDOT by $20 million, a little over $20 million, and that's about 20% more than what was expected out of that process. So I want to congratulate our local sponsors, thank MoDOT's district office and local road staff for all of their hard work, the staff out of Jefferson City for all their hard work, and of course, Federal Highways. Kevin Ward was able to attend today. Federal Highways, for all of us working together as a team to get this funding spent What it does is help queue us up for additional federal funds come August during a redistribution
That's
process.
exactly right.
And I think it's even more important that we get it done this year and this coming year, since it's going to be unprecedented amount of obligation being redistributed this coming August. I think the number's $9 billion, I'd heard, somewhere in there. Could be upwards of that.
Jim, not to interrupt you, but I do, while we're on this topic, I just want to thank you and your team and the folks that made that happen, because that is a really, for the folks in the room that don't know the intricate inner workings of what Jim's talking about, this was a really, really big deal. And we are so appreciative of you being proactive, jumping in and making it happen. So thank you.
Thank you. What it does is allows Missouri to get a lot more money.
That's exactly
come
right.
August. So get a little more than our share as a state. As part of that process, so talking about MoDOT and East West Gateway staff working really hard this year, we went through a Lean 2.0 process, which really streamlined that LPA, that local public agency process for getting projects from beginning to end and getting those implemented and that funding spent. So that I'm looking forward to as a new process to help our locals, help MoDOT, take some of the bureaucracy out of the work and trust the engineers that are doing the design work a little more. So we're also working together to get, and I've already alluded to it a little bit, we have a record transportation improvement program for this next year. $6.4 billion for the region alone. Nearly $4 billion of that is in Missouri. So it's going to be a lot of work on the MoDOT side and the local project sponsor side to get those projects done. So we're looking forward to continuing that cooperation that we have with the local district office on that. And then, not finally, but one of the kind of the highlights is we worked very strongly, very closely with the district office on developing a blueprint for arterial roadways. It's a design document to address kind of the differences that urban areas have versus rural areas when it comes to designing roads. And that document and the process itself, actually we received a little notoriety a couple times. One time at the Association for Metropolitan Planning Organizations annual meeting, which was in September. It's the equivalent of AASHTO for state DOTs, but it's for MPOs and TMAs. Tom and our team actually made a presentation and were recognized there. And then also through our, we go through a certification process as a metropolitan planning organization every 4 years as a TMA. And we just wrapped that up. So Kevin had, several of his staff there looking over our shoulder, making sure we're checking the boxes we need to check. But it's more than just checking boxes. So they look also at things that you're doing really well. And they have identified that process as, or that plan as a possible best practice nationally, but they're giving us a commendation for that in our certification process. So Tom, thank you. Thank your staff for working with us on that effort. Hopefully this is something that we can roll out a little further statewide, but our board at their meeting last week endorsed it for use in the St. Louis region, the Missouri portion of the St. Louis region. So, those are just a few, sorry, I don't want to take up too much of the time. Just a few of the successes we've had over the past year with the MoDOT district office. I probably should back up a little bit. For those of you that don't know, East West Gateway covers an 8-county region. We're one of the bi-state MPOs that are here in Missouri, so Illinois and Missouri. And Mayor Slay was a chair at one point. He was actually, I think, the longest serving member on our board between his time as president of Board of Public Service and as the mayor. So, we represent about 2.7 million people in that bi-state region. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I just want to thank Tom and his staff, Ed, and your staff. And, we're looking forward to a strong partnership over the next year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
yes.
Slay?
Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining us here today, and it means a lot. The work you do in the organization you run means a lot and is extremely important to the work we do. It's the local level is really where everything starts, and the work that you do, the knowledge that you and your organization has on the transportation component is invaluable. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your leadership, and please feel free. And you know how to get a hold of me. I know we've talked a number of occasions on different issues. I also want to thank the mayor for being here as well. I know how busy of a job you have, and I can tell you that we appreciate your work, the work of your team, and your presence here is very much appreciated. Thank you for your leadership, and as you know, I'm easy to get a hold of, and if there's anything that you think we can help you with, please always feel free to contact me. Again, thank you for your leadership.
Commissioner Erdman? Thank you, Commissioner Slay.
Yeah, I want to echo Commissioner Slay's comments, Mayor Jones, and Jim. It's great to be back in the Lou. We're happy to be here. I'm from Kansas City, and I always enjoy visiting over here. It's really exciting to see what you're doing. We look up to St. Louis in so many ways. We also recognize how important St. Louis and its economy is to Missouri. We're all cheering for your success over here. The other comment that I want to make is just the critical importance of Missouri's regional planning process. In my private sector job, I work with 7 state DOTs. I don't serve on all those commissions, but I am so grateful for our bottom-up regional planning process because it builds community input and community consensus and then community buy-in. I think Missourians would be surprised to learn how much public involvement is involved in setting priorities, and we're blessed by our regional planning process. Thank you for your role in that, and thanks for having us here in the Lou again today.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman.
I got one more
Commissioner
comment. I meant to also thank Rhonda Homney-Briggy for your leadership and work with the airport. We've talked about, one of the issues that you mentioned, and something that's very important to us as well. So thank you again there, and you do a great job with the airport. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Jim, thank you. Mayor, thank you so much for being here today. Tom, I'm going to kick it back over to you. Oh, one thing before we do that. We had 2 more guests come into the room. Steve Ellman, thank you for being here. Good to see you, sir. And Representative Wendy Hossman, she just came in too. So good to see you both. Thank you for making it today.
All right, that time Commissioner Slay did it to me. You stole my thunder, man. So next I get to introduce the director of our state's largest airport here in St. Louis Lambert International Airport, Rhonda Homney-Briggy. I know he says it the best. Rhonda to come up to speak, and with her is also from our Vice President of our of Governmental Relations from Greater STL is Adam Kasdra.
Thank you, John. Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you, Tom, for that introduction. As you said, my name is Rhonda Homney-Briggy, and I've been the director of St. Louis Lambert International Airport since January 10, when former Mayor Slay appointed me, and I currently serve under the appointment of Mayor Tasharo Jones. And I'm here today to talk about the region's #1 infrastructure project of this decade. 6 years ago, we started on our master plan looking at the future of our airport and looking at the challenges we have in the current facility that was built in 1956. That master plan was approved by the FAA in 2003, and we've been negotiating with our airlines on moving this project forward. The picture you see in front of you is the proposed terminal that we're looking at. The reason that this consolidated terminal was chosen is we looked at a wide range of the challenges we face today and how to address all of them in a potential new terminal build. Many of those challenges are because we have a terminal built in 1956, before security checkpoints were a thing, when food, beverage, retail wasn't important to the customers, when the planes were 50 to 70 seats. Today, all of that is quite changed. One of the other challenges we have, this is a huge project, it's a $3 billion project, is trying to find the ways to fund that and to make sure that we can look at every revenue opportunity that's out there. The non-aeronautical revenues like parking that we can get from the parking garages, any of our land leases that we can get, all of that was taken into consideration as we looked at this potential new terminal and what made the most sense. The good piece of that, and let me go back just one slide. What did I do here? Sorry about that. You want to find the slide, I wanted to go back to the terminal. The good piece of this is that when we looked at the terminal construction and what was the best opportunity, this new consolidated terminal that we're proposing fit all of those boxes. One of the key challenges that we also have, and the reason we're here today to talk to you, is the Interstate 70 access that we have into our new terminal. We have one of the smallest roadway systems to feed into our current terminal concept today. Usually you have a mile-long corridor that allows customers to drive in, make their decision as to their lanes, whether they're going to be arriving or departing. We don't have that, and so we have a lot of congestion on our roadways, and part of looking and thinking about the design of this new terminal was addressing that critical piece of infrastructure that is off Interstate 70 onto our roadway system. You can go to the next one. The piece that you see here, and this is part of the I-70 corridor study that's undertaken right now that covers this section of the airport. We've been working obviously with MoDOT as a partner in this for the whole time we've been working on our master plan. But the section in front of the road, which is only at a 10% design, would have to change from that more linear to go into a more curved section to be able to address the opportunity for us to enhance our roadway, give us that mile-long corridor, and then have the access off of the interstates. One of the reasons we're here today to talk about this is the funding, obviously. While it is on the high priority list currently for MoDOT, it is an unfunded project. And as we moved forward, one of the challenges we have with the airport is that we are allowed under the FAA regulations to only spend dollars on airport property. Obviously, I-70 is not part of airport property. So this critical need and this critical infrastructure of trying to make sure that as we're moving forward with our terminal, also we can move forward with the interstate piece of that coming off I-70. You can go to the next one. This is a huge project. I just wanted to give the commission a little bit of understanding where we're at. As I said, we had been working with our airlines ever since we started this project. We got the approval in the past year to move forward with the first $1 billion of that $3 billion project. That is for a lot of the enabling projects that are underway. That includes moving a lot of old facilities that are part of our infrastructure for airfield maintenance, auto shop, a new central utility plant, reopening some of the closed pieces of the concourse to move carriers around. So that piece is underway. It also includes the design of all the terminal roadway system, the garage that we would be building, the new garage, and the terminal itself. So where are we at in that program? We have selected a program management team to oversee this. That was selected earlier this week. The design team for the terminal itself, that RFQ has closed. We'll be selecting the design team. There we had a tremendous response from designers all across the country, including local designers looking to build that. We'll be selecting that team in the next couple of months. We're also going to be putting out for our construction management at risk team so that we can have our construction team on board at the same time with our design team to ensure the project moves in the most efficient, cost-effective way possible. All of that will start place at the beginning of the year. It's about 18 months for the design to get to 90%. That 90% is when the airlines authorize that next step, which is actually the construction of the terminal. We anticipate that's going to happen in mid-26, where construction would start to mid to late 27. The critical piece of that, as we start that construction, obviously, is the interstate piece. It will be opened in phases. It's not one terminal ribbon cutting day. It will be opened in 2 phases. We anticipate the final phase opening the end of 31, beginning of 32. So that's a little bit about the terminal and the condensed time frame. One of the great supports that we have, in addition to the mayor and the business community here, is Greater St. Louis Inc. So I'm going to turn it over to Adam Kazda. He's going to talk just a few minutes about the value not only to our region but to the state. Adam.
Thank you, Rhonda, and good morning to the commission. My name is Adam Kazda, Vice President, Government Relations for Greater St. Louis Inc. Greater St. Louis Inc. is the voice of the St. Louis business community in the 15-county bi-state metro here in St. Louis. The airport's essential to this metro and state's growth. I will quickly go through some of the top-line numbers from the report GSL commissioned that recently studied the economic impact of the airport. Lambert currently is already a powerful economic engine for the region, but the proposed development plan would further boost the airport's impact on the region's economy by 2032. As you can see from the slide, we expect the airport transformation to contribute to a 30% increase in jobs, or by over 30,000, revenues to increase by 18%, or nearly $5 billion, and visitor spending to increase dramatically. However, I think the most shocking statistic on this slide is that the airport currently makes up 5.5% of the region's GDP. That is one of the largest single contributors to this region's GDP, one of the largest, save any business here in the metro. We expect that to grow to 7% with the airport transformation. In this next slide, I wanted to show you just briefly the total impacts of the airport, aerospace manufacturing, and aviation-reliant businesses before COVID. This is 2019. So over 100,000 jobs, $7.5 billion in payroll, $27 billion in business revenues or total economic impact. I have a slide later on to show the projected total impacts of the airport transformation in 2032. So we often don't think of the airport as a business or a contributor to the state coffers, but I wanted to show the commission that in 2019, the airport generated over $2.4 billion in tax impacts at all levels of government. A significant amount of that, 18%, heading back to the state. And here is what we can expect after the transformation: a significant increase in jobs, payroll, and total economic impact. And this next slide is a little bit more user-friendly slide, more detailed of this 2019 versus 2032 impact. So you can kind of see payroll, value add, and business revenues increase across the board. I'll close with this. The airport is so critical to the growth of the St. Louis metro. It is the front door to our region. Hundreds of businesses and thousands of people in the metro and across the state rely on the airport. That is why this transformation is the top priority for the St. Louis business community. The business community looks forward to working with the commission and Rhonda to ensure a successful partnership between MoDOT and the airport, and that residents, businesses, and visitors have the little disruption while this transformation takes place. Thank you to the commission for the invitation this morning, and I think we have questions.
I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions, comments?
I'll just make a comment if it's
Yeah,
it's
go
okay.
ahead,
First of all, thank you for joining us here today. Obviously, the airport is, as you've mentioned, is a very important economic driver of the entire St. Louis region. I will also say that the leadership of both organizations is exceptional. I mean, these organizations, the airport, not only the airport director, but the board that is there, there's a lot of professional people there that work real hard to make sure that airport's run right, and it really serves the state and the region tremendously well. And then, of course, Greater St. Louis Inc. is the organization that is made up of basically a lot of the largest corporations and companies in the St. Louis area. They do a lot of good, and they really look at these issues very carefully and are not looking out for themselves individually as organizations or people. They're looking at the best interests of the region. So thank you for your insight and your presentations.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Ed?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of make the point that, and I think Rhonda and I talked about this, that these are projects that are linked, right? The link is really strong and one doesn't do without the other. And as we're advocating for this, whether it be at the local, regional planning level, which I know everybody is doing, we need to make sure that everybody understands the link and that we're advocating not only for airport or only for I-70, but that they've got to go together. And as we're doing that at the national level, the state level, the local level, that's going to be critical, I think, to success because this is a really heavy lift. I think we all know that.
Thank you. And one thing I forgot to mention, thank you for that, Ed, reminded me, is that we are also working and seeking federal dollars for portions of this project that are eligible. So the terminal itself doesn't have a lot of eligibility, but the other pieces that are within our purview, moving some of the taxiways, moving some of the buildings that we have. We just received a $20 million grant to help offset the cost of our new airfield maintenance facility that needed to be moved for this. There's a lot more grants that we're applying for on the federal level. And one of the things is making sure that as we move forward with this large project, we take every piece of funding that we can get. So we are working on a federal level as well for funding opportunities.
Fantastic. Rhonda, Adam, thank you both. Super educational. Appreciate all of the work that you're doing. It's vitally important for the state. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a public presentation from the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, the St. Louis chapter. And Lester Woods will provide the introduction today. So Lester, the floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Chairman Boatwright, Commission, Interim Director Hassinger. It is surely my privilege and my honor this morning to introduce to you Vivian Martin, who really needs no introduction to the Commission. Ms. Martin is a friend of MoDOT, a longtime friend of MoDOT. You may remember her as the former DEI Compliance Officer for Millstone. She oversaw the compliance of the I-270 North Design Build project for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, on-the-job training, as well as workforce development. She brought to us Project PAVE. Project PAVE, if you remember, was also highlighted in Governor Parsons' State of the State address back in 2023. She is a mother. She is a grandmother, thanks to her daughter, Lisa, and her son-in-law, David. But she's also the proud mother of over 200 or 300 students that have graduated through the Construction Prep Center here in St. Louis, as well as the Project PAVE kids that graduated over the last couple of years. She's actually recently retired from Millstone, but as you can tell with her being here today as the president of the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials of St. Louis, I think she would probably say that she's working harder now in retirement than she was even when she was working full time. But nevertheless, we're very happy to have her here today. She's going to be talking about COMTO, and I yield the floor today to Ms. Vivian Martin.
Good morning. I need a box to stand on. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get. My voice is that kind of voice. It really doesn't need a microphone, so hopefully we can share what we have this morning with you. COMTO St. Louis. We are the newly reorganized chapter of the National COMTO office, Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, that is headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. We are, as we say on our website, the voice of equity in transportation. Nationally, we have over 3,000 members in 40 states. The Comto St. Louis chapter happens to be the 39th chapter to come into Comto, and we just accomplished that last September. So we've been in business for a year now, a little over a year, and we've really been moving on. We represent more than 3 million minorities and females in all modes of the transportation industry, and you can see on the screen the arenas that we're in. When we say we represent the minorities and the women, it's because we want to make certain that everyone that works within the transportation industry is represented and has a fair opportunity to take advantage of what's available in terms of work and design, planning, engineering, using transportation systems. We here in St. Louis started out with 21 members when we first reorganized in September of last year. To date, we have 41 corporations, agencies, and individuals total that we count, and of those, 4 are student memberships, and we're proud of the student memberships because those are free. And so we want to make certain that students that are interested in our industry are able to join us without any cost to them. Nationally, as you can see, we have a number of agencies, corporations, companies, the HUBs, the hub businesses, the industry, nonprofits, and so on. Our membership also counts presidents, CEOs, who determine the direction of the major transportation systems, all the way through the mechanics and the operators who ensure the safe passage, and the professionals who keep the nation moving. We represent in every facet of the transportation, design, and engineering industries. Okay. As I said before, we're headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. Comto is led by April Rye, who's the executive director of the National Comto. We have a great advantage of being in Arlington because they have a great impact on Capitol Hill. They are part of they are part of the voice on Capitol Hill in terms of transportation. When Comto is involved, Pete Buttigieg is usually at the head of the agenda, and they have a great relationship with him. We have a great voice there. We are part of the National Black Caucus and have a great opportunity to create more political advocacy and partnership building. Here in St. Louis, Comto works to create equity in opportunities and capacity building and improve the accessibility and representation through advocacy, fostering an inclusive and equitable environment across the St. Louis region. We reignited, as I said, in 2023. We were ratified in February of 24, and we are working, as I said earlier, to create equity and opportunities and capacity building for minorities and women in transportation. When we originally started, the opportunity and capacity building aspects of Comto was really centered around the executives in the transportation industry. Now we are representing everyone from the C-suites all the way down to the boots on the ground. Okay. We have an executive board of 9 members, myself, of course, as the president. Melissa Studel, who's the director of external civil rights at MoDOT, is our first vice president. Andrew Pottas is the vice president of HDR. Alonzo Washington, who is here with me, is a senior project engineer at WSP, and he's the secretary of our Comto chapter. And if I were the concrete for Comto St. Louis, Alonzo is the rebar. He's what holds everything up. Don't know what we would do without him. And then we have Trinice Winters, who's Assistant Executive Director at Metro Bi-State. She's our treasurer. And then our membership committee chair is Abe Adewale from Abney Engineering. I had the pleasure of attending their 30th anniversary celebrating business this past Thursday. David Glastetter is our legislative committee chair. Francois Lyle Wiggins is our programs chapter chair, and she's with St. Louis International Airport, the Business Diversity Development Office. Gina Montgomery is our communications chair, and she's a contract compliance manager for the St. Louis County government, forgive me. All right. Moving. All right. Our collaborations and events. Someone was asking us how we serve, and this is how we serve with collaborations and events. We've been actively involved in industry and community initiatives since we started last September. And we have forged some excellent partnerships with these organizations that you see here: Metro, Bi-State, St. Louis Lambert International Airport, Department of Transportation, Missouri Department of Transportation, City of St. Louis, and the St. Louis County. And all of these agencies are represented on our executive board. An overview of what we've been up to for this year. We were ratified in February and just took off running. So far, we've participated in the MHTC MoDOT partnering charter. I drove into Jefferson City and got there just in time to sign the charter, and I was proud of that. We were also part of St. Louis Lambert Airport Industry Day, and we were there to introduce our constituency to the idea of how they can get involved with the airport expansion, and we also were there as a networking event to promote membership. We were involved with the MoDOT Triple Play DBE event, and that was back in July. And there we were able to talk to over 70 of the hopefuls that are interested in doing work with MoDOT, and allow them to meet with major contractors that also are hoping to work with MoDOT, and make those connections so that those people that we are working to support are able to be involved. I'm excited about the Green Line. I attended the Citizens for Modern Transit's luncheon where they talked about the Green Line, and that's going to be phenomenal for the people that we're working for. We also have started a DBE forum series because a lot of times when we're talking to contractors and potential members, the reasons that they need service, they need support, is because they don't have the connections that they need. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know the work that's coming out, that sort of thing. And so the DBE Forums is going to be a series of quarterly meetings that will be able to connect the contractors, the owners, and the DBEs so that they can forge the relationships that they need to build capacity. And then we also have chapter networking and membership drives that are meant to grow our membership here at the COMTO chapter. We are looking to raise our membership, obviously, because that's financially how we drive our activities. These events, as you can see, are meant to galvanize the industry leaders, the practitioners, the stakeholders, and foster a collaboration and a partnership that we haven't had in the past. We also were involved in the 2024 conference in Atlanta. That was a dynamic conference, because if you've never been involved with COMTO, you really should try to go at least to the conferences that they have. It's the most dynamic, energetic, and progressive conference I've ever been to, that you get a lot of excellent information, you get a lot of good networking, but the energy and the commitment to the community is unparalleled. We recently held a DBE forum, the first of our 2024-25 series, and it was titled Stumbling Blocks and Stepping Stones. And there we invited the construction community, the transportation community to come in and talk to us about what's holding them back, what they need to move forward. And this is just a representation of the consensus that came out of that meeting. We had minority and women-owned attendees from professional services, construction companies, transportation suppliers, truckers and haulers, nonprofits, government offices, and transportation agencies. We were fortunate to have representatives from MoDOT, from Metro, from the airport to be on our panel and share with the group the work that's coming forward and the work that's going to be DBE and women friendly. And we're really looking forward to that, expanding on that in our next session that's going to be in January of 2025. One of the exciting parts of our effort in St. Louis is the launch of the communiversity. More than often than not, as I said, contractors and women-owned businesses don't have the resources to build capacity. And so the communiversity is designed to offer or sponsor a series of capacity building training workshops and referrals that are aimed at helping them to develop their capacity. We will offer access to leadership, management, and technical information and assistance. And this is going to position our participants to gain command of the best practices and essential to their business growth. Our upcoming events and meetings, we have our general meeting, which will be the 21st of this month. And we're going to go back over the lessons learned from the DBE forum. What did we do well? What do we need to improve on? And then use that to build on the upcoming forums that we're planning. The second forum is going to be in January of 2025, and where the first forum was concentrated on owners and matching those organizations to our constituency. The January 25 session will be aimed at access to GCs and primes and the timely access of lettings and plans so that folks that are planning to be part of any of the work that we have coming into the community will be apprised. We're also going to be participating in the AGC DBE Summit, which is planned for March of 2025. And we're also in deep planning for a DBE Day at the Capitol for the spring of 2025. We are looking at probably $10 billion worth of infrastructure work coming into this region in the next 5 years. Comto St. Louis wants to make sure that minorities and females are positioned to be part of that $10 billion worth of work. There's research that says that for every $1 billion of work that comes into a region, it positively affects 50,000 jobs. That might be jobs that are already up and running or new jobs to be created. $1 billion affects 50,000 jobs. We're talking about $10 billion worth of infrastructure money coming into this region. What could we do as a region to make certain that everyone that is ready, willing, and qualified can be part of this and just make this whole region more excellent? So we need help. We need the help of everybody in this room to elevate, I'll say, Comto St. Louis. And these are the ways that you can be involved. Take part in our membership drives. If you have a webinar that you can share with our constituency, that's training, and maybe it's about bids or negotiating or capacity building, contribute to that. If you want to be part of our Speakers Bureau and speak at one of our meetings, that's a good way. Mentor-protege partnerships. We've done several mentor-protege partnerships that resulted in one company that had 3 trucks and no business moved to a capacity of 15 trucks, and they're doing it $1.2 million worth of business now, and that's just over a 3-year period. Another of our contractors that we're working with, $250,000 a year was a good business for them, and they had 15 trucks at that time, and 5 of them were the only ones that were really working. We were able to help them go from $250,000 in sales revenue for 1 year to $4.8 billion, and that's over a 3-year period. And that company, when they were doing hauling in St. Louis, they've now increased their NAICS codes and are hauling fuel at O'Hare Airport. So this is the kind of advocacy and support that we can offer through COMTO. So we're encouraging you to join us. Everybody in this room that is involved in transportation should be part of the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. If you want to join on a membership level individually, it's $125 a year. That's about a cup of coffee every day. If you're a corporation, then there are staggered membership fees, but you can have multiples from your corporation join us at any time. So that is actually the best way to join us, is if you're corporate, join us corporately. If not, we'll take you as an individual. It's not working. Okay, there we go. All right, questions and feedback. Thank you. I just want to say this. When I am needing to air out, I get in my car and I get on a highway and I drive as far as it takes me to get that resolution, and then I turn around and come back. I get on a Missouri highway and I leave it on the highway, and when I come back, I'm in great shape. So I, for one, am thrilled that we are the voice of equity in transportation, and that this group is responsible for making a place for me to go when I need to air out. So thank you, and thank everybody, from the person that designed it to the person that cleans it up. I like my highways. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vivian. Any
Ms.
questions,
Vivian, I'm
comments?
gonna try that. Just get in my car and drive till it's off your mind.
It works. And it actually works. It just clears it out.
Commissioner Slay?
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today and for the important work that you do and your organization. Please know that we appreciate our ongoing relationship with COMTO. We have a great relationship and have had one for over 20 years now, which has been critical to developing the ongoing job training and programs and expanding diversity within the workforce in construction. So the work you do helps us tremendously, and it's impactful. And I want you to know that we appreciate the work you do, and we appreciate our relationship, and we're always here to try to do what we can to continue that relationship into the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Ms. Vivian, great to see you again. You would not believe the number of people that I mentioned, the work that you did on that 270 project and the outreach and the workforce development. Absolutely incredible what you were able to do there. And it's exciting to see you, after you retired, to come back into a leadership position. So great to see you today. Appreciate you presenting, and I'm sure we'll see you sometime soon in the future.
I sure hope so.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, so next we're going to go into the public comment period. So we've rearranged our agenda a little bit today and moved the public comment period up earlier in our agenda. Members of the public who have not scheduled presentations before the commission, or who have not scheduled presentations before the commission, may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by signing at the registration desk by 9:30 a.m. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person, 10 minutes per topic. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
What's tea? That's tea.
So we do.
Decaf.
Today, we have Mr. Arnie A.C. Nov. Arnie, great to see you again. We've seen you the last several months. Glad you can travel and be here with us today. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. As the chairman said, my name is Arnie A.C. Nov. I'm a state public advocate and also a big advocate for public transportation and to make sure that we have the best highway system in our country. The first thing I wanted to lead off with is there was a commission audit committee yesterday, and you held a closed session. To me and to most Missourians, that puts up a huge red flag that you met in a closed session instead of an open session. I asked disclosure and publish this important audit that's on your agenda under number 6 under MoDOT presentations. That audit keeps you honest, transparent, and responsible and accountable. And so I asked why you met in closed session rather than having an open session for more transparency. MoDOT, and as you know, I accuse you and many Missourians, including the legislature, feel that you're not transparent and open with Missourians. The next thing is, at last month's comment, I offered my services and to volunteer on the selection committee for the next director. And I have heard nothing from any commissioner. You've all been mum. And so the selection of a innovative, out-of-the-box thinking leader for the next MoDOT director is very critical at this turning stage of MoDOT's history. My contact information, since the secretary evidently didn't give you that information, my email address is arniedienoff@yahoo.com. You can reach me or text me at 314-440-9000. And I look forward to having a conversation with each commissioner because it's very important. I-70 is a huge project. I'm in favor and highly supporting the expansion of I-70 across our state to 3 lanes east and westbound with much needed safety improvements and upgrades. There are many positive implications. Economic development, more vehicles across our state in a more efficient manner, moving cargo in a more safer manner, building strong communities across our state, and it's a win-win for our state and its people. But we must do and build this project in a transparent, open, honest, responsible way with full disclosure of all documents. Let's at all costs divert and avoid a debacle of a project like what is going on I-44 currently. On I-44, there were 0 inspections, little oversight, contractor cutting critical corners with the rebar installation, fiduciary consequences. Whoever negotiated the damages to redo the interstate in the contract states it's only a $6,000 a day penalty in a $40 million contract. And that's absurd. On Agenda 8 of your agenda is consideration of proposals for improvements of I-70 from Warren County to Wentzville, St. Charles County, and the huge curve and railroad project in the city of Wentzville that really needs to be addressed immediately and has been put off for years and years by this commission and by MoDOT. Forestell, the city of Forestell at I-70 is a growing community. They're thriving. The interchange needs to be replaced and much needed safety improvements need to be implemented there. Is this included in the project, in the awarding of the contract further on in the agenda, or has Forestell been forgotten about, especially with the meat plant that is going to employ 3,000 to 5,000 employees that will open up next year in 2025? Today's agenda is very vague, not transparent, not being fair to all of our 6 million Missourians. There is zero discussion, zero disclosures of vital important documents. And, you know, the commission is just not being disclosing these vital documents. There are no contracts. There are no selection committee report. I called staff the other day and asked for those information, and I was told I have to wait till the meeting. But yet you're going to hurry on to give this huge over $100 million contract or hundreds of millions of dollars in a design build. There's no recommendations in the packet. You're going to hand over a huge amount to trust a contractor with hundreds of millions of dollars. How do you expect the public to be engaged in this process? And millions soundly do not trust MoDOT or the commission because of the pending contract and ongoing interstate issue. There are numerous questions with this contract. Past lack of enforcement and engagement of leadership in overseeing projects and fiduciary responsibility. Auditing of the dollar at every angle needs to be done, inspection at every aspect, and installation of the road lanes to last 50 to 60 years. The reporting process and disclosure of all documents, and I'm going to sum it up, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I will hold you personally, commissioners, accountable through this process before the state legislature this January through May. And I ask under chapter 610.022 that you disclose to the public and myself all of the contractual information regarding the selection of this design build project from Warrenton to Wentzville. It's imperative that you start being engaged and trusting us Missourians to be part of the process and not being left out in left field or left in the dust after all the problems with MoDOT over the past decade. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dino. With that, I want to thank everyone for their comments today. We're going to take a brief 10-minute break and resume the meeting at, what, you want to do 10:45? Yeah, at 10:45. So thank you. Go, let's do it. Pass it
right.
to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, Interim Director Hassinger. I'm here to present a recommendation for bids for the October bid opening, the October 18th bid opening. MoDOT received 113 bids on 47 calls. We recommend the following to you today: to award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder. Also, wanted to mention that call A07 in the Northwest District was let on October 25th for a slide repairs on I-29. We recommend the commission award the call to the lowest responsive bidder for this bid.
Very good. Anyone have questions or comments for Kenny? Okay, you go right ahead, Commissioner Hagan.
Yeah. No, Kenny, we're about ready to issue one of our biggest awards here, and sure appreciate your staff and everything that you've done. A lot of responsibility there, a lot of effort going into it. And I only look forward to exceeding that goal next month. So appreciate that. We're looking forward to the great things that we got coming down
Thank you.
the road here. So thank you.
Just to follow that up, Kenny, we've got great competition. It looks like a lot of excitement in Missouri when it comes to getting projects out the door. So it's a fun time. Ed, kick it off to you.
Yeah, I just want to point out in this letting, we have another round of the legislatively designated projects for minor roads. And the prices are really good. So we're getting more miles for the same amount of money.
Yeah, and that is one thing to mention, Kenny, is, this month on our low volume roads that went out, you want to touch on the base contract and the alternates?
Yeah. So we received $100 million from the legislature for these governor rural route resurfacing jobs. And as we let these projects, each of the districts, we try to use a tool called Add Alternates, where we provide multiple routes on those contracts to maximize the amount of budget that we have in each of those districts, so that we can get all that money out to our contractors as soon as possible. And unfortunately, or fortunately for us, the bids are coming in so well that we're actually able to award all of the alternates in a lot of these projects. So that's good.
It's exciting. Yeah, very exciting. Well, with that, do we have a motion for acceptance?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do you have a budget update for us?
Yes, sir. So today's awards are for a total of $217 million, which is $2.4 million under budget. Today's awards result in a state fiscal year 2025 award total of $718 million, which is a savings of 2.5%, or $18.3 million under budget on $736 million worth of work. As what was previously mentioned, the governor's rural route resurfacing jobs, we had 8 of those projects in the October levy. Today's awards result in a total of $79.3 million on 16 projects to date, with a savings of 8.4%, or $7.3 million.
That's fantastic. Kenny, thank you and your team very much. With that,
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so the next item is a non-action item. Tom Blair, St. Louis District Engineer, will provide an update on the district. Tom, welcome again.
All right, I'm back. Well, thank you, Chairman Boatwright, Commission, and Interim Director Hassinger, for allowing me a few moments to share with everyone sort of the MoDOT's presence and responsibilities here in the St. Louis region. So we are MoDOT's smallest geographical district. We are also home to 1/3 of Missouri's population. We in St. Louis District, when I look at it from a MoDOT perspective, we are responsible for 1,716 lane miles of interstate. That's just of interstates. Over 1,700 lane miles of interstates right here in this little district. On all the state transportation system in the St. Louis district, there are 26% of the vehicle miles traveled on the state system. They actually take place here. That means just last year alone, there was 14 billion miles traveled on the state transportation system in this little St. Louis district. That's home to 1/3 of Missouri's population. Transportation is a big deal. You heard that from some of our earlier speakers and everything in St. Louis. We are responsible, MoDOT is responsible for about 1,700 centerline miles of roads in general, all roads, interstates, and we do have low volume roads here. In general, our major roads and interstate roads in the St. Louis district are in 83% good condition right now. Our minor roads are in 71% good condition. And the few low volume roads that we do have in the St. Louis district are in 79% good condition. Bridges are a big deal. Some of you guys have heard me say that before. We do have Missouri, Mississippi, and so many other rivers. The highlight right now is that they're flooding, but they also have lots of bridges that cross all the rivers and all the roads here in St. Louis. We have almost 1,200 bridges, and major bridges are a big deal. Bridges over 1,000 feet. We have 55 of Missouri's own bridges that are major bridges right here in St. Louis. MoDOT has, or Missouri has 211 major bridges total, 55 right here in St. Louis. And then there's all these specialty assets. So like on the slide, I have the highway tunnel. We didn't even talk about that. Rhonda didn't talk about that. Missouri's only owned tunnel right now in the state of Missouri is under her airport. And we, the state of Missouri, own that tunnel. But we also are home to over 1,200 traffic signals that MoDOT owns. That's about 50% of all the traffic signals that MoDOT owns are right here in St. Louis district. So there's just a lot going on here. It's always a lot of fun to work in St. Louis district. As you've traveled around the state, like last month, you were out in Franklin County, your meeting was. You got to interact with Jordan Delvarius, our air engineer in Franklin County. And this morning, kicking off the safety item on the agenda was Jen Wade, our air engineer from the city. As you travel all around the state of Missouri, you've gotten a chance to meet a lot of our area engineers. They're our one-stop shop for our communities. They know the mayors and everything. Right here on this map, I have the 5 area engineers that we have in the St. Louis district, and I was going to ask the few of them that are here to stand up real quick, just to make sure. Yeah, so these area engineers, they do a lot of line share of the work, working with our communities on details, but they also lead us from an engineering standpoint and keep our organization so that we can best meet the needs of local parts of the St. Louis region and everything. So I want to shout out to the air engineer positions and the air engineers that we have here. Operations, you've heard about it some today already in presentations. You're going to hear about it more before it's over. But when I look at operations in St. Louis, one of the things I'd like to highlight during my short time with you today is that litter and debris. Litter and debris, I've said it before, it still continues to be an issue in St. Louis. I haven't found too many St. Louisans that are really totally happy with our ability to meet their expectations on keeping the roads and roadsides clean of litter and debris. And I tell you, I've been doing this for a long time, and every year we invest more and more resources in the St. Louis region, spend more tax dollars on picking up litter and debris, and we still have not met the customer's expectations. On this slide, it highlights that, MoDOT employees alone, just our employees picked up have already allocated so far this calendar year 17,000 labor hours picking up litter, 22,000 labor hours sweeping our roadways. We supplement those hours that we work with significant contract hours. If I take our contract mowing that also has to pick up stuff before they mow, or our litter only contracts that we have in the St. Louis district, and our sweeping contracts, because again, we supplement our sweeping with contracted sweeping. I put all that together and I look at it from a trash and litter debris standpoint. So far this year, in the first 10 months of this year, our contractors have picked up 900 tons of trash. You might say, well, what's 900 tons of trash? It's a lot of trash. But on top of that, that's 24,000 large trash bags of trash. 24,000. I was trying to do the math on it. I think it would more than fill this room. So just imagine. That's how much our contractors have picked up just in the first 10 months. And you can drive on the way home when you leave here. We still haven't gotten it all because it just keeps coming back so fast. And before I leave operations, I wanted to highlight the slides, the pictures to the right there. We deal with a lot of unsheltered encampments. I know Commissioner Erdman talks about a lot, especially in Kansas City, and you'll be there next month. I'm sure it'll come up again, but we deal with a lot of it here too. On this number, I think something that's interesting, we're working with all these local entities to provide all the people services to those people so that we can ultimately get them into safe services, safe places where they can live and thrive. But yes, we have fires on our bridge in St. Louis too. Of the hours, because we're a government bureaucracy, so when we charge our time, We have to charge our time to things. Our employees have charged about 1,700 hours in the first 10 months of this year toward unsheltered encampment time codes. 71% of all the hours in the MoDOT timesheet for those codes are by our employees in St. Louis. So we are putting a lot of resources into working on that. Developments continue to be a big deal in the St. Louis region, which is an awesome thing, but it does create a lot of work and everything. We have a significant number of permitted changes to the transportation system. That's like a developer that comes in to build a business or a residential. So you see the numbers of those, and then below that, you see some of the really complex ones. Some of these get so complex. We had 112 get into very detailed development reviews. And then many of them end up into access justification reports and others where we have to justify, fill out a very thorough report and get it to Kevin Ward and his team at Federal Highway to get permission to make the changes that developers are wanting to make to our transportation system. And many of those, the good news is they're on the developer's dime. All right, you are in St. Louis, and in St. Louis District, we have a transportation management center. MoDOT has a transportation management center. It is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week here. As you can see on this slide, just in the first 10 months this year, they answered the phone 67,000 times. 10 months, 67,000 times. Do the math on that. That means they're answering the phone one time every 6 minutes. Sometimes lately, like with all the flooding, it was actually 6 times every minute. But on average, it's one time, one phone call every 6 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the first 10 months. That's a lot of phone calls, and we answer it. And I know our leadership really, really works hard to make sure that we have real people, real human beings answer the phone when you call MoDOT. Many of those calls, in this case, 1,200 of those calls resulted in priority 1 actions. Now, unfortunately, at MoDOT, at least in St. Louis, it seems like a lot of the priority 1 things, such as a stop sign knockdown, a traffic signal knockdown, that we have to drop everything and go fix immediately. They always seem to happen after normal working hours, nights and weekends. And so 1,200 times we've had to call our men and women that work for us away from their families, unexpectedly go deal with priority 1 calls. So that's just a few highlights from our MoDOT's Transportation Management Center right here in St. Louis. Now let's get to projects. You've heard a lot about projects. You're going to hear a lot more about them by the time you get to your last action item, right? We have 90 active projects in St. Louis right now. $750 million is being spent this calendar year in the St. Louis district on projects. So this is a list of some of the major ones. I just want to hit 2 because I know they're close to your guys' heart, but definitely to Chairman Boatwright, because when he leaves here, he's going to drive these 2. So the 2 that say I-55 there. So the first one on I-55, when you leave downtown St. Louis, where we're meeting, you go I-55 south, you're going to get into this project within the first few miles on I-55 headed southbound, and you're going to stay on this project for over 10 miles. This project started in 2022. It's a $63 million contract to significantly replace and or rehabilitate 14 bridges on I-55 between here in this just south of the city down to South County at Lindbergh. I put those pictures on there because this project, we've gotten a lot of recognition for this project. And I really want to shine a light on our contractor. So in the upper left corner, our contractor, when removing the driving surface of one of these 14 bridges, they damaged those green girders that you see there. They damaged them. That was not what they weren't supposed to do that. We went through a whole bunch of back and forth with the contractor, and they removed those girders. So the bottom pictures, they removed at their cost those girders, and those girders are being replaced right now, and that bridge is going to be rebuilt. The contractor is stepping up and being held accountable for all of the damage that they've done and trying really hard to get the contract back on schedule also, I might say. And then just earlier this year, you awarded, when Kenny was standing up here, a series of projects that included the resurfacing on that same stretch of I-55. And so when you leave here and go south, right by Anheuser-Busch, the headquarters of Anheuser-Busch, you'll jump on the brand new pavement that you guys authorized in a $28 million contract on that same section of I-55. If I go further south on I-55, about 35 miles, doesn't seem that far to me when I'm driving it, but about 35 miles south of here, back in July of 2023, the Highway Commission awarded a $246 million contract on Interstate 55 in Jefferson County. This is almost like a miniature Improve I-70, and it was before Improve I-70, but it was a design-build contract to add additional capacity on I-55, rebuild I-55. And again, the teams that competed gave us great value. And that project actually began construction earlier this year. Our interim director, Hassinger, had so much to share with you, he didn't even get to show you the bottom picture I have there. They've been paving too. They got quite a few miles of new concrete pavement in the middle of that road, just like they do on I-70 in Columbia, Kingdom City area. So it's a really exciting project. It's also going to be addressing 27 bridge needs. 27 bridges, either total replacements or significant rehabilitations of 27 bridges during the life of that project. It's on schedule, on budget to be done by the end of 2026. If I talk about projects that are in design, you approved a STIP earlier this summer. That statewide transportation improvement program that we call the STIP is a 5-year list of projects all over the state of Missouri. In the St. Louis, when I look at it from as a St. Louis district engineer, I see 225 projects that are focused in our district, over $2 billion in that STIP of traditional projects that are going to touch hundreds of bridges and thousands of lane miles of pavements. And then there's some unique things, because we're St. Louis. So some unique things that stick out to me was we do have around 1,300 line miles of striping that are on the STIP to help us stripe our roads. And we have a lot of structural sign replacement. Those big green signs that go over the interstate, we have to supplement our resources and do contracted large sign replacements. And that's in the STIP also. Some projects that are coming soon. And I know you've heard about, the first one was Route 47 out in Franklin County, because just last month when you were out there, everybody talked to you about that corridor. And the good news is you guys were reminded that there's a lot of significant funding in the current STIP on that. So our team's working really hard on that project. And everybody in the room is excited about your last action item, which is that improve I-70 from Warrenton to Wentzville. That's really important to our district too, because about half of the limits of that project are in St. Charles County, which is part of the St. Louis district. Every project we do in St. Louis has a component of American Disabilities Act, where we're improving sidewalk facilities, meeting the federal requirements of that. Our agency is committed to be done in August of 2027, and we are well on our way. Again, every project we have in St. Louis has some component of that, rebuilding sidewalks to meet that expectation. We have significant bridge rehabilitations and bridge replacement, major ones coming up. I was surprised the mayor of St. Louis did not mention to you that we have I-64 in the city. We're going to be replacing the I-64 bridge in Vandeventer. It's just a few miles west of here in downtown St. Louis. We're working really hard. Jen Wade is working really hard on making sure that project is well done and trying to mitigate the impacts and work with our partners to see if we can actually rebuild some city street grid along with the city of St. Louis at the same time. And then finally, on that list, St. Louis is going to soon be bringing to you, and we're really working really hard on this, proud of this, a bridge bundle, a design-build bridge bundle focused on I-44. We're looking at 32 bridges. That's something, we've done a lot of design build in St. Louis, but we haven't done a bridge bundle, and some of our rural districts have. So we're going to get a bridge bundle done, so we'll be bringing that to you soon. I want to wrap up by just focusing on our people. And we can't get this done without the people that choose to work, the adults and the people that choose to work at MoDOT. Earlier this week, my team got the chance to pause for a minute. And as you can tell, maybe by the pace of my voice, we don't get the chance to do that very often. We paused for a moment and we celebrated some significant career milestones with some of our employees. And you can see the numbers of employees on that sheet there. We can't get it done without these people that choose to work for us and work so hard and everything. And out of that, I want to highlight one of the employees, just to give you a taste, just a little taste of who these people are and what they do. So I would like for Jeannie Wilson to stand up. All right, just stay standing, Jeannie. Jeannie is our district administration officer. She works directly for me. She is in charge of our administration functions in the St. Louis district. She has worked for MoDOT for 35 years. We just celebrated that earlier this week with her. Now, Jeannie always says, hey, I only started when I was 10 years old or whatever, she says. But the fact is, she actually started a few days after she graduated from high school. Seriously, she started a few days after she graduated from high school. She started at MoDOT the day after she married her husband, Kent. 35 years ago, she marries Kent one day and comes to work at MoDOT this next day. Jeannie Wilson is an example working at MoDOT. She has worked in almost every non-engineering division we have, both in the headquarters in Jeff City and in St. Louis District. She leads by example. She's learned this organization. She knows how to get stuff done in this organization. And she is teaching a lot of our younger generation about this organization and how to get stuff done. And I'm just Eileen Genie. I could tell you stories about all those people on this. We have a really talented team, especially those public servants that have been here for decades. They've learned this organization and they know how to get stuff done. So with that, I have a few pictures of some of our other great team members, and I would take any questions. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions, comments?
Not a question, just a comment. Tom, thank you. I like your enthusiasm. You've always been like that. And thank you for your team and the tremendous amount of work you've got going on in the St. Louis district. I mean, it's amazing. Every time I'm over here, you're adding projects. So we appreciate you and your whole team.
It takes a team and it takes a commission. We can't do it without you guys making the important
Well, thank
decisions that you make every month.
Thank you,
No doubt.
Tom.
Ed?
I think it's just like all of our teams. If we put retail MoDOT on the front line, our districts are retail MoDOT. Those are the people that the public sees. They're the ones that deliver the goods. And just like every other district, we're doing it here.
Yeah. Tom, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate you and your team. We had another special guest come into the room, Senator Fitzwater. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here. Next is a non-action item, Becky Amroth, Chief Safety and Operations Officer, and Darren Hamlick will, the State Director, or State Maintenance Director, will present on restoring operations and improving customer service. Ms. Becky, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Director, Deputy Director Hassinger. I am here to give you an overview of MoDOT's maintenance accomplishments for the past year, our work plan included in the State Transportation Improvement Program, and our proposed plan for Phase 1 of MoDOT's unfunded operational needs. First, I want to start with the maintenance overview, which Tom teed this up extremely well with the accomplishments of his local operations staff. But at a statewide level, we put down nearly 500,000 tons of asphalt last year. And that pothole patching is a very small part of that, but we patched approximately 600,000 potholes last year. It's an amazing accomplishment across this entire state. On a given year, we mow 400,000 acres per cycle, which we typically mow at least a minimum of 3 cycles across the entire state. We maintain 2,600 traffic signals. We stripe 60,000 lane miles each year, and we replace last year 135,000 linear feet of culvert pipe. That was up a little bit out in front of some of those governor's low volume roads, but that's a tremendous amount of pipe that was replaced. I want to start with some of those expenditures. This slide shows the operations expenditures. As you will show, this slide starts in the year 2017. That is the first year that we started including those maintenance work plans, and we add them to that State Transportation Improvement Program. You can see a slight increase over the last couple of years, up to a total of $529 million a year. That was to account for inflation. The funding for operations is approved on an annual basis by the Commission in their annual budget that approval process. I'm going to talk a little bit later, keep that $525 million in mind. All right, our work plans that are included in the STIP. This is the 2024-2026 work plan. We included the St. Louis region since that's where we are today as a typical example. Each district has their own work plan that looks very similar, and it is done on a rolling 3-year work plan basis. So every year, a year is accomplished, and we'll add another year on the backside. Our goal is to plan that maintenance work at 90% in that first year, 70 the second, and 50 the third. Symbols on the map represent work such as bridge deck sealing, pipe replacement, pavement repair, and pavement treatments, just to name a couple of those. Then let's talk a little bit more about that $529 million. You'll see that this is the 2023 operations and safety expenditures, that $529 million bucket. If you'll notice on the left side, that's that routine maintenance. Those are those things like snow removal, mowing, pothole patching, and litter, just to name a few. And then on the right-hand side, that's our planned preventative maintenance. And those are those maintenance work plans that we show in the STIP every year. Those include the asphalt pavement repair, striping, signing, just to name a couple. And then some of those accomplishments. Pretty proud of this one last year. Like I said, we plan about 90%, so not uncommon to see us reach a little bit over 100% each year. But we had a below average winter last year. The below average winter means we have a few extra labor hours, and we also have a little bit of additional money that we can put towards some of these work plans to get a little bit more accomplished. Those that are over that 100%, it's a little bit common knowledge, but the cost of a ton of asphalt is very similar to a cost of a ton of salt. So when we save on that ton of salt with the mild winter, we can put it right back onto the asphalt. So that more pavement that we were able, and those more pavement repairs that we're able to accomplish, hopefully on the backside of that, that means less potholes. We are still struggling, and we have that continual pressure, as Tom mentioned, of the litter and keeping up with the litter. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but you will see that in a minute, I'm going to talk about those customer service concerns. But again, pothole is our #1 customer service concern, and we get the most calls on that. So that is why you'll see the extra money and the extra time go straight into those pavement repairs. And you can see we went above 100% in a couple of those items. We also talked about the hours. Across the board, MoDOT, the labor hours have dropped when we gave up those positions for the market adjustment. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more also. That was to prevent the bleeding and the high turnover that we had at the time. This chart shows the impacts on operations. The hours have gone. If you see in the year 2020, we were about 4.1 million hours, up down to 3.4 million in the year 2023. So that's a drop in approximately 670,000 labor hours just in operations alone. And then our contracted work. We have successfully found some areas where we've been able to use contracted work to fill in that gap. However, that contracted work is almost always going to be at a higher cost. Litter removal is a great example of that. When our MoDOT crews go out and pick litter, it costs about $18 a bag. When we have contracted staff that go out and pick that litter, it's about $75 a bag. Another great example is striping. Our crews can stripe at about 10 cents a mile. When it's contracted, it's about 22 cents a mile. So very important for us to reconstitute that staff to get good value for the taxpayers. Some of the other areas where we have been able to, that guardrail guard cable repairs, that's something we just don't have the technical expertise internally. That's one that will always make sense to contract out. We've also done homeless camp improvements, traffic control, sweeping, sign installation, and of course mowing and litter. And then a couple of our challenges. Turnover continues to be high. It's not quite what it was. We did see a turnover close to 20% last year. The market adjustment has absolutely helped. When I was here about 2 years talking about the turnover and the number of employees we were leaving, we were averaging about 70 a month that were walking out the door. We even had a peak just prior to winter 2 years ago where we were hitting 80, 85, 90 employees a month that were leaving. That is down below 40 right now. So we know that market adjustment is helping. Great news, in fiscal year 24, we were able to hire 635 employees for maintenance. That's compared to 258 in fiscal year 23. But with that 20% turnover, we lost 431 of those employees. We still had a net gain of more than 200 employees, and I have not been able to stand up here and say that for years. So we are making some of that progress. Again, that market adjustment has helped. It's great. That 635 employees that we hired has created another challenge, and that's training. So the number of employees that we hired last year increased by 250%. So we don't want to throw somebody out there without the proper training, and we typically want to use some of our best employees to train those new employees. So we have a lot of crew workers that are tied up right now with training and not out leading the crews where we need them to be, but hopefully we'll be able to keep a lot of these new hires that are coming in the door, and those numbers will continue to go in the correct direction. Some of the other challenges, just those safety demands. It's no secret that distracted driving is a huge challenge for us right now. So we are having to put additional protective equipment out. And we used to require those protective equipment when we had employees that were in a lane of traffic. So we'd use that protective vehicle. We are now utilizing protective vehicles when we have employees that are also on the shoulder. So it's an additional need of not only employees, but additional equipment to protect our employees. So now the request. The request, 250 additional, these are FTEs or full-time employees, full-time equivalents. This is the first tier of our unfunded operational needs. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Darren to explain what we would do with those additional FTEs.
All right, thank you, Becky. Good morning, Commission, Interim Director. In terms of our action plan, if approved, the 229 additional full-time employees would be distributed across the state, which would amount to roughly 32 employees per district that would go into operations. The plan would maximize the number of boots on the ground, and the plan also includes 24 additional equipment technicians that would assist in taking care of our equipment. These additional employees in operations would focus their efforts on the top 10 call report categories for each district. So you can see the bar chart there on the right shows the top 10 call reports received through the first week of October of this year. And as Becky mentioned, potholes is number 1. These are statewide numbers. Each district does vary somewhat, and we would adjust the plan accordingly. This information comes from our call report database. So these are customers that call in with concerns. It goes into the database, and what you see is the results of that. And it does. I think I missed a slide. Nope, I didn't. Okay. I think I'm out of order. Okay. In terms of unfunded operational needs, our top priority is obviously the labor needed to address the visible items and to improve customer service. Beyond that, system expansion maintenance cost is important to keep track of. So for example, when we eventually add 400 lanes to I-70, there is an associated cost with that. It will take us longer to clear the roads with the current number of employees we have, for example. Equipment automation and investment is critical too. It's an important area to invest in. So pieces of equipment like the automated pothole patchers, the automated stripers that we're currently piloting, those trash collection devices, those all assist us in helping us overcome our labor hour shortage. And they also improve safety, quality, and production as well. So, and the last one, contract preventive maintenance. There's a need for that. So we've talked today about the governor's low volume routes initiative. We've overlaid 3,300 lane miles of road. We know in the future that we're going to need to preserve that investment by seal coating those. So it's just something to keep in mind. And can you assist me with moving the slides? I'm not. Okay, I think we're.
Thank you. We've talked quite a bit today about litter, so I want to talk about in particular some of our strategies with that. First, very simple litter strategy right now. It's action, accountability, and advocacy. A lot of what we've talked about and some of the steps that have been taken on the action side, that's internal, additional resources that we put down for litter removal. Historically, we spend about $6 million a year on litter removal. We bumped that up last year. It's the same piece of the pie, so we're having to shift employees from different parts of pavement repair, pipe repair, you name it, to put more attention to that litter. Last year, we spent $13 million. So making a concerted effort to really tackle those visible items, but we're just not quite meeting the mark with the litter removal. The second part of that, the accountability. Accountability, as we talked about, we had a very successful pilot that we had in the Kansas City district last year. The Kansas City district took the time to send letters to each of the trash haulers in the region, just a proactive approach to let them know and warn them ahead of an enforcement campaign that we would be enforcing and utilizing the Missouri State Highway Patrol to do some targeted patrols for litter. We just simply ask the haulers to follow the Missouri state statutes and commercial vehicle rules and regulations pertaining to securing their load. We have a fantastic partnership with the Missouri State Patrol and Troop A of doing those targeted patrols for litter. They did a heavy saturation for 2 weeks in June. And then they just completed, they returned last week, the last week of October, and they plan to do so again this week to do another enforcement campaign. We have challenged the other districts to follow suit, and successful pilot, let's try this across the state. And then advocacy, we talked, as Vice Chair Erdman mentioned, some of our legislative priorities, just to bring attention to the issues that we're having with the litter. We propose an increase in fines for littering, but there's a more important issue here. We propose removing the barriers for litter enforcement. This is little known fact, but currently those that are stopped and cited for littering must be taken into custody and fingerprinted. So usually for a litter fine or an enforcement, very little is done beyond a warning. So that is one of the changes in legislation that's needed. Also proposing a trash hauler fee, add an additional fee per ton on trash moved or deposited through transfer stations or landfills. The funds collected would be used by MoDOT to pay for contracted litter pickup services. And then finally, advocacy. Again, we have advocacy for every citizen. We shifted direction last year to more of a Keep Missouri Beautiful so every citizen could participate. The districts will be coordinating planned community litter events again this year, where any group that would like to pick litter can coordinate with MoDOT, and we will provide the protective equipment, the bags, a safety briefing, and protective vehicles where those are needed. We also, every year in April, participate in a No More Trash Bash across the entire state. We do fun activities with the schools, trash can decorating contests, just educating the public on the impacts of litter and trying to prevent that. One of the other things that we're going to try this year also, and I'm thinking about my own habits, we've all kind of shifted from the days where we put our bag trash on the side of the road for trash haulers to pick up to now we all have these big cans. I know I've been guilty myself of cleaning out my car as I'm getting out and just dumping it unbagged in those cans. So we're going to do a little bit of education to the public as well. If you can bag your litter and it stays in that bag, it's less likely to fly out of those trucks. And we're also pursuing an expansion right now of our Sponsor a Highway program. This is a great opportunity. That Sponsor a Highway program allows more businesses or organizations to be recognized for their financial contribution to remove litter across the Missouri roads. And we have a professional contracting service that picks that litter. So a couple of $1,000s, a business, great exposure for them to show up on that sign showing that, hey, I care about the litter that's picked up at the entrance to my business. So great opportunity for that. We currently have 70 adoptions across the state, primarily in the St. Louis and Kansas City districts, but we've seen a lot of other states successfully expand that across their entire states. And again, Missouri is an absolutely beautiful state, and we'd like to keep it that way. The litter is not MoDOT's, but we certainly are responsible for picking it up, and we just want to get some advocacy and some changes that can help us with that so we have less to pick up, so we can spend more time on the important things like patching potholes and paving roadways. So I thank you for the opportunity to provide the operations update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Becky. Any questions and comments for Becky and Darren?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. This is the report I've been looking forward to for a couple years. For my fellow Missourians and people in the audience here, for many years, when MoDOT did not have the benefits of the road fund funded by the fuel tax, very significant operating cuts had to be made in order to support the capital program, which was underfunded as well. In more recent times, the road fund has provided badly needed resources for capital, and the General Assembly, thank goodness, has provided earmarked projects, which has helped enormously. And as a result, on the capital side, the project side, we are leading the country. We are the best, and we do a great job, and I'm so thankful for that. On the operating side, though, we haven't caught up, and everyone on the staff knows this. We have not caught up. We're not meeting customer expectation. Today, we saw a blueprint for the future, and it's built on the successful model of the unmet needs capital list. Now we're going to have an unmet operating needs. And this is funded by the road fund, so the money is there. We need the support of the FTE. I'm told that we will have all the vacant positions filled this year, allowing us to move forward. That's an enormous accomplishment. Congratulations. And it's important when you own the 7th largest highway system in the United States with, I believe, around the 47th level of funding. It's really important that you make the most of what you have. Absolutely. And that's what we are doing, and we're going to appropriately turn our focus toward operational needs as we continue project excellence. And I'm so grateful to you in the operating side, Chief Operating Officer, for leading us in that really important regard. In the end, we will measure our success by improved customer service, and that's what we're here to do. Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman.
Mr. Chairman, I always enjoy your reports, Becky. They're always good and really opens people's eyes. And I did miss, and so did Vice Chair here. You said we spent $6 million we had been spending, but what did we spend last year?
13 million.
That's what I thought. So.
And I do look forward, this is the first year that we presented today to bring you more of those unfunded operational needs. These employees for years, they are the front line. They are the ones that their neighbors see in the convenience stores that bring the concerns to them. And this has been really tough on them, having to say we're doing the best that we can with the resources that we have, but they want so badly to meet those customers' expectations. So it's exciting times.
I'd like to visit with you after the meeting sometime about the sponsor highway.
Great.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Good?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, next item on the agenda is an action item. Brenda Morris, Chief Financial Officer, and Ted Williamson of Rubin and Brown LLP will present the annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year 2024, including the independent audit report. So, Ms. Brenda, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Interim Director Hassinger. Today, we have our external auditors with us from Rubin Brown to discuss the fiscal year 2024 financial statement audit. Per state statute, we are required to have an annual audit of our financial statements. We're also required by the Commission's bond indentures to have audited financial statements. We choose to prepare an annual comprehensive financial report, or an ACFR, because we want to maintain a high standard of accountability. An ACFR is deemed more transparent because of the information it presents. An ACFR contains more information than is required by generally accepted accounting principles, including an introductory section that provides general information on MoDOT's structure, services, and operating environment, and a statistical section that provides financial and demographic trend information useful in assessing MoDOT's economic condition. The ACFR document is also part of the group of documents that is the accountability report that is provided to the Joint Committee on Transportation Oversight. As stated earlier, we have received an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can receive. This means the financial statements conform in all material respects to the reporting requirements. This is the 25th consecutive year that we have received this opinion. Financial Services is responsible for coordinating the compilation of the ACFR, but it really is the result of a department-wide effort. We could not have reached this opinion without everyone's help. While the ACFR is an accounting document, it is quite lengthy and technical. It does contain some good information. The Management's Discussion and Analysis section provides a good overview of the financial activity of the last year. And the statistical section provides comparative information for a variety of statistics. One of the items discussed in the management's discussion and analysis section is the department financial health based on information presented in the financial statements. The department's net position increased $1.5 billion or 4.9% when comparing fiscal year 2024 to 2023. The increase in net position can be attributed to the increase in cash and cash equivalents and investments and an increase in capital assets. Net capital assets, the largest single item on the statement of net position, totaled $34 billion and grew by $1.1 billion compared to fiscal year 2023. This amount includes the value of Missouri's almost 34,000 miles of highways and just under 10,400 bridges. This amount includes the value of the land, the buildings, and equipment and vehicles the department owns. From the total of net capital assets, $6.5 billion is non-depreciable, mainly from projects that aren't completed yet. For depreciable capital assets totaling $56 billion, that is the investment Missourians have made through user fees, a little over half has been depreciated. Cash and cash equivalent investments increased $243.7 million in fiscal year 2024, which can be attributed to the issuance of $381 million of bonds in November of 2023 for the Improve I-70 program. As projects are completed, the amount of cash and cash equivalents and investments will decrease. There were 2 Governmental Accounting Standard Board statements implemented this year, but neither impacted our financial statements. I'd like to introduce to you Ted Williamson from Reuben Brown, who will discuss briefly the results from our audit.
Thank you, Brenda. Good morning, Commissioners. Again, my name is Ted Williamson. I'm a partner with the accounting firm of Reuben Brown. We perform the financial statement audit for the Department of Transportation for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. The financial statements of the department are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, which are, as a government, are set by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. And then we conduct our audit following the audit standards set forth by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And then because of the federal funding that the department receives, we also follow what's called government auditing standards, which are an additional layer of auditing standards that are set forth by the Government Accountability Office of the federal government. And the purpose of the audit then is to determine that your financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. A couple of caveats there that are important. First of all, while we do render an opinion on the financial statements, ultimately management of the department is responsible for the fair presentation of those financial statements. And additionally, while we do consider your internal controls and your internal control structure as part of the audit, and we would bring to your attention any internal control concerns that we have, we don't render an opinion on your internal controls as such. The opinion is on the fair presentation of the financial statements themselves. So with those caveats, as Brenda mentioned, we're happy to report that we did issue an unmodified or clean opinion on the financial statements. Additionally, we did not identify any what we call material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in your internal control as part of the audit. Those would have been disclosed in the report if we had. And then just in general, we did not have any adjusting journal entries that we identified during the audit that had to be recorded, either ones that management elected to record or elected not to record. And we did not experience any difficulties or have any disagreements with management during the conduct of the audit. So overall, things went very smoothly, and the audit was issued by September 30th, which is the deadline by which the department seeks to issue the financial statements each year. So I'd like to think that's a pretty good report, but happy to answer any questions you might have about the audit.
Thank you, Ted. Any questions or comments for Brenda or Ted?
Just a comment here. Brenda, congratulations to you and everyone on the finance team for the unqualified, clean opinion. Your summary information used a lot of words that started with a B. Those are billions. Billions of dollars of assets in the system, billions of dollars of flow, many sources of funding. It's a very complex organization, and the accounting for that is also very complex. And if you haven't picked this up at your bookstore, this is the audit. It's a heavy document. It's 166 pages, and it summarizes a tremendous amount of work. And it's remarkable that this is the 25th consecutive year of a clean opinion. So congratulations to all involved, and we should never take this for granted. There are changes that go into the regulatory environment, and you don't always get a great report, but congratulations on yet another one. Well done.
Thank you for those kind words. The audit will be available on our website after,
Pick up a copy soon.
after you take action today, yes.
Very good. Commissioner Hegeman.
Thank you, Brenda. That was what I was going to ask. If it would be available on, I didn't know if it would be after this action or before you present it to the Oversight Committee.
After you accept the audit report, we go ahead and put it out.
Put on the website, yeah, so people can see it.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Review it.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you both. Ed, anything to add?
Can't top that.
Oh, I agree. Hey. All right, so this is an action item. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Brenda and Ted. Okay, at this point in the meeting, we typically go around the table with the commissioners and talk about the things that have come up today, some thoughts, all of those things. We're going to skip that today because we are really, really excited to get to this next section of the meeting and talk about I-70. So with no further ado, Ed Hassinger and Ms. Kimberly Trainer, let's get this going, and the floor is yours.
So before Kim gives you what you've all been waiting for here, I think it's just important to note that, the commission approves us moving forward with a design build job. And once that is done, I take the authority of the chief engineer and transfer that to, in this case, our program director, Eric Kopinski, and our project directors, which now there are 3 for the Improve I-70 program. And so I'm thrilled to death to introduce to you Kim Trainer, who is our project director for the east section of Improve I-70.
Well, it is just barely morning still, so good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Interim Director Hassinger. Today we're talking about the second project on the Improve I-70 corridor that stretches from Warrenton to Wentzville. But before we go into the details, I have to step back and say it has taken a lot of teamwork to get to the point where we are today. There is a great group of individuals that have worked on this project, both within MoDOT. We also have some consultant help on this project with our owner's engineer. And then I have to thank the teams from industry that competed on this project. We had some great competition on this project. So. Oh. Sorry about that. Here we go.
I'm terrible at controlling those two, so I get it totally, no big deal.
Well, there was 2 remotes up here, so I picked the wrong one.
That can be very confusing.
That's okay. That is fine. So to start off, this is what we call our placemat for I-70, which shows all of the projects that are planned along the corridor here. I'll draw your attention to the one in the center that is outlined in orange. That is the first project that is under construction. There's been some photos today that have been shown for the Columbia to Kingdom City project. But we're here today to talk about the easternmost project, which is highlighted in yellow from Warrenton to Wentzville. Here's a little bit closer detail of this project location. It is located both within the Northeast and St. Louis district, within the counties of Warren and St. Charles. When this project started, we knew we needed to add the 3rd lane to I-70 from Warrenton to Wentzville, but we took a step back and we looked at what other projects MoDOT already had in the works and had funding associated with those projects. And we determined that it made a lot of sense to bring some of those projects into this and make this one great project. So included with adding the third lane to I-70, we are also addressing the Wentzville bottleneck just at the west side of, or west of the big interchange, which we commonly refer to. It's actually the 64, 70, 61 interchange. And then we actually have improvements to that interchange as well. And then we also added in a segment of I-64 that heads south from I-70. That route was originally designed to have a third lane added to it, but it was not constructed until this project. Why do we need this project? It is basically because we need corridor reliability. This section of the interstate sees a lot of traffic every day. Out in the Warrenton area, it sees about 50,000 vehicles a day, and then as we progress east near Wentzville, it gets up to around 90,000 vehicles a day. So a lot of traffic traveling on this section, and plus the amount of traffic, there's about 20 to 30% of that is truck traffic within this section. So we really need that additional capacity in order for the traveling public to get from point A to point B in about the same time with each of their trips. We also have just the overall age of this infrastructure. It is a little over 60 years old. We do not actually have any bridges on I-70 in this corridor, but we have several bridges over I-70 at our various interchanges and ramps and things of that nature. So some of those bridges are in need of replacement or rehabilitation to extend their life. And then we have just the general pavement of I-70. Over that 60-some years, MoDOT's method of maintaining I-70 has basically been to resurface the pavement by adding asphalt to it. In the center of the screen, we have a couple cores from this project, and the amount of asphalt on top of the original concrete pavement ranges from anywhere from 8 to 20 inches. And then the picture on the right here is a picture of what is underneath that original concrete pavement. Over all these years, basically water has been trapped underneath the interstate, and we ended up with a very nasty, mushy mess of soup underneath of there that needs to be addressed. We also have several interchanges along the project that just due to the amount of vehicles that utilize those interchanges, they can't handle that capacity anymore. So improvements need to be made to interchanges. So we took all that into account and we developed the project goals. The first goal is to deliver the project within the budget. Second goal is to add that third lane to I-70 and I-64. The third goal is to improve the I-70, 64, and 61 interchange. Our fourth goal is kind of our catch-all goal that involves improving the pavement, the bridges, and various interchanges. Our fifth goal is to minimize construction impacts because we know that this corridor carries a lot of traffic every day, and we need to be very mindful when we introduce a work zone on top of that. And our final goal is to complete the project by December 1, 2028, utilizing a diverse workforce. Our overall program budget for the project is $634 million. The bulk of that is the $600 million design build contract. Then there are other funds for the stipend and various contingencies should we run into any issues while we are under construction. We next have our disadvantaged business, enterprise, and workforce goals. For this project, it is 13% for construction and 14% for personal services. Plus, we have a variety of workforce goals that are listed. On this project, on October 17th, we received 2 proposals from 2 different teams. We have the Ames Millstone Weber team and the Improved 70 Alliance team. After we went through our evaluation, the Improved 70 Alliance team was selected with their proposal. And I have some highlights from their proposal. It involves adding that third lane to I-70 all the way to the west of Warrenton, all the way to the Route MM interchange, all the way east to Wentzville. It involves completely removing all of the existing pavement all the way down to that soupy subgrade material. And it includes a treatment of that subgrade material to create a very firm, solid foundation to build our new road upon. It introduces a layer of rock base to have good drainage so we don't end up with that soupy mess in the future. And then it installs new concrete pavement. They are also providing the third lane on I-64 south to Route K. And while both the I-70 and I-64 work is occurring, they have committed to keeping 2 lanes of traffic open in each direction during peak hours. Also in the proposal is the upgrades to the 70, 61, 64 interchange. And then we also have improvements at several other interchanges. We have the Route Z interchange at Wentzville, the interchange at Forestell, the Eastern interchange at Wright City, and Route 47 at Warrenton. We now have a video that will play that more goes through the changes at the 6470 interchange all the way to Wentzville Parkway, and then it flips over and shows information or an image at the Wright City area.
The Missouri Department of Transportation is excited to award Improve I-70 Warrenton to Wentzville. This transformational project is the second of 8 project segments to improve I-70 across the state. In addition to the third lane of I-70, this project includes several improvements to I-64. From I-70 to Route K, an additional lane will be added to I-64. This work had previously been funded by MoDOT's state program and is being incorporated into Improve I-70 to better coordinate work zone impacts. By adding a third lane to I-64, it will greatly improve capacity in the area. This project will also make improvements to the I-70 and I-64 US 61 interchange, specifically with the movements involving higher traffic volumes. The westbound I-64 exit to the westbound I-70 ramp will be built to allow for 2 lanes of travel, which will allow traffic to enter onto I-70 safely and more efficiently. Improvements will also be made at the Wentzville bottleneck, where I-70 travels underneath the Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge. Crews will remove and replace the existing railroad bridge, allowing for extra lanes of travel in both the eastbound and westbound directions. A new interchange for I-70 at Wright City will also be provided with this project. This interchange has a roundabout for the east and westbound ramps. Better connections to the outer road network for this new interchange will greatly improve the safety of drivers while also helping with local connectivity for this growing area. This $600 million historic design-build project will improve safety, reduce congestion, and will construct over 110 lane miles of full-depth concrete pavement for both the existing and new lanes of traffic on I-70. It will also completely replace 7 existing bridges and construct 4 new bridges. Construction on this project will start in spring 2025 and is scheduled to be completed in December of 2028. MoDOT will host public information meetings in early 2025. For additional information about the project, including renderings of the proposed improvements at Forestell and Warrenton, please visit the project website at www.modot.org/improveI70/Warrenton-Wentzville.
So if you're anything like me, you have to watch that video multiple times in order to get your bearings and really see all the various improvements that are planned. But I do have a few still shots here of the improvements. This is the 6470 interchange looking towards the west. You can see I-70 in the center. Heading up 61 to the north is to the right, and then heading on 64 would be to the left. This is another look at the interchange, more as I am facing north, so you can see all the additional lanes that'll be provided in order to provide more capacity for the traffic to move through this area. We then have an image of the improvements at Forestel, which a diverge about has been proposed. A diverge about is basically our diverging diamond interchange, but instead of controlling the intersections either side of the interstate with signals, it utilizes roundabouts to move the traffic. Here we have an image of the improvements at Wright City. You'll kind of see on the left side there a roundabout which will provide access to and from eastbound I-70 plus the outer road system. This design proposes a new two-way outer road that will kind of snake in parallel with I-70 and extend all the way up to the Route FJ Elm Street Bridge. The bridge over the interstate now will be replaced with a wider bridge to handle the capacity. And then I have an image looking back east, which better shows the roundabout on the north side of the interstate. It provides access both on and off of westbound I-70 to the outer road system, plus it relocates Route J into the roundabout to provide better flow of traffic in the area. There is also improvements planned at Route 47, but we do not have a nice image like this for that location at this time. With that, we request the commission award the apparent best value proposal to the Improved 70 Alliance team, authorize the director, deputy director, chief engineer, assistant chief engineer, or their designee to negotiate and execute a contract with the apparent best value proposer, subject to approval as to form by the chief counsel's office, plus approve the payment of $1.5 million stipend to the unsuccessful proposing team.
Excellent job, Ms. Kimberly.
Thank you.
Very, very exciting. Any questions or comments from the commission?
I'd like
Commissioner
to
Slay?
say something. Yes, first, I want to thank you and your entire team for the professionalism and work on this very exciting and complex project. We know this is hard work, but when you get into the details, the complexity, the impact, the amount of work over, miles and miles of highway throughout the state is just incredible. So your team is great, and also your partners within the industry as well. It's great to see the construction and consultant industry working with MoDOT to develop such an impressive proposal. This is the single largest contract award by the commission to date, as I understand it. And I want to congratulate you and your team. We look forward to seeing the delivering of the project as part of the overall I-70 improvements and the additional improvements for St. Charles and Warren counties. So great job. Thank you to you and your entire team. I am continually impressed with the professionalism, the talent of the MoDOT team, and of course, with the help of the consultants. So thank you and your team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Erdman?
Yeah, ditto all that. Thanks for the hard work. What a great design build that has been brought to us. Great competition. Today, we will consider awarding the contract to the recommended team, but this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning. Once we have awarded this to the recommended team, that launches a program that continues public input, public engagement, public comment. And I just want to emphasize to the public that while we may award this today, it's really just the beginning of the process, not the end.
Thank you, Commissioner Erdman. Ed?
So fabulous. I want to just remind everybody, though, that it was a little over a year ago that we even knew that there was any funding to do this kind of work. So the legislature and the governor passed this funding, and it's amazing the speed with which this team has gotten to this point. Remember, we have a contract awarded in Columbia that we're actually putting concrete pavement on the ground today. And here we are awarding the second project in a little over a year from even knowing about the ability to do so. So I would say leadership matters, and the important leadership of the commission to demand that we be innovative and that we push the envelope and try to get the best value for taxpayers matters. And then the leadership of the department across the entire department that has supported this team. And I'm looking at Eric and Kenny and Dave and all the folks that are kind of our leadership in Jeff City that supports this effort, but then especially to our program director, who is probably standing in the back of the room. I don't see him, but he's back there. There he is. And Kim and her team, leadership matters. So, and then also I want to commend the leadership of the industry. To step into one of these projects and put at risk is a pretty big deal. And the leadership of industry has been pivotal in us being successful. So to the folks that proposed, thank you. To the successful proposer, successfully, the commission awards this here in a minute. Thank you for your innovative proposal, and we're going to do this again, right? We're going to move from here to the west side of the state and do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again.
That's
so
right.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that we award the apparent best value proposal to improve I-70. Do I need to read all the other stuff? Okay, and authorize the director, deputy director, chief engineer, assistant chief engineer, or their designee to negotiate and execute a contract with the apparent best value proposal subject to approval as to form by the chief counsel's office, and approve the payment of the stipend to the unsuccessful proposing team.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you, Brenda.
So, but don't run away, Miss Kimberly. Hold on now. Hold on. Okay, so number one, I want to congratulate the winning team, the Improve I-70 Alliance. Would you guys like to come up and say a few words? The winning team, where are we at? Oh, here we go. Hey, not to put you under the gun or anything, but.
Thank you, Commission. Thank you, MoDOT. There's so many people to thank. The list. My name is Josh Deerhoff. I'm a representative of the Improve 70 Alliance with Emery Sapp and Sons, and our partner Clarkson Construction are extremely ecstatic to be here today and accept your guys' approval. So with that, I want to also thank, as you mentioned, Mr. Hassinger, the legislator, and the governor and lieutenant governor. Without their support, this opportunity wouldn't even exist.
That's right.
We're elated to be part of it. Now it's our turn to deliver for the Missourians, a world-class project. We knew when the short list came out, the competition was going to be fierce. You guys were going to get an outstanding quality project regardless of today's selection. The contractor is shortlisted, deliver high-quality projects all over the state and the Midwest.
Yes.
So with that, we got to work with our team and Kim's team. And these guys, as Mr. Hassinger mentioned, are working feverishly every day. They're working as hard as we are to deliver this program. So they challenged us again and again to exceed and meet those goals. We rolled up our sleeves and we knew we were going to have to put everything on the line to win this project. As you mentioned, the work doesn't stop today, it only begins.
That's exactly
We got to
right.
roll up our sleeves and get to work, and we can't wait for the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm not gonna let you run off again. So hold up. Okay, so let's bring up your entire team, Miss Kimberly. And let's bring up your entire team. Let's get a photo. And this photo is gonna be something that we look back on and know, just like what you just said, that was just the beginning. Now we're in the middle of all this hard work, so we can look at it every day. So let's do that. Where we need to be? Oh, wow. Where do you want us? Just right in front of the table. Hey, let's just line up right here in front of the table.
As far as you can be, right here. Everybody's gotta go that way. You wanna make the front line over. Whenever you take a step, the front line, take a step forward. Take a step forward, front line. Don, we should look out of the picture. This is it. This is far as you can be. So you guys gotta make a curve line, screen in there. You know what? There's room on the other side. If you're this side of Eric, you're not in the picture.
Got to squeeze them out.
Are we good?
There we go.
1, 2, 3.
All right. Yeah, one part. All right. All right. My mic is up and down. There we go. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Very exciting. What a day. You know, having the investment from the governor, the legislature to get to this point, such a big deal for the state of Missouri. Missouri has the team in place to get this done. We have the contractors, we have the stakeholders, we have all of these very important things lining up to make this happen. Could not be any more excited for what our future holds. Our future is definitely bright. Before we adjourn, I want to make note that our next meeting is scheduled for December the 4th, 2024 in Kansas City, Missouri. I also want to note that the press conference for this project will take place at the back of the room as soon as everybody has the opportunity to relocate and get resettled. With that, do we have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned.